A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants and viewers worldwide on various platforms. Thank you for joining us and thank you for being our dedicated community members as always. And thank you also for your messages, which I have received this weekend. The question I raised on Friday was, what's everyone doing this weekend? So we had quite a selection, and also most importantly, we wanted to know what games are you playing at the moment. So, no surprise, we've had quite a number coming from our Destiny community saying, I'm playing Season of the Splicer and I'm loving it, it's great, all the new loot, all the new ideas, all the new things. And the most popular activity so far was Nightfall Strikes and 6-man pinnacle activity, weekly activity, which is really like a new addition to the concept, and that's been very, very popular so far. So thank you to Jeremy, thank you for Tabitha, thank you to Sally, Gemma, thank you to some of our veterans as well for pinging messages to us. The vast majority of our community members are in the US, and therefore I'm very grateful for your messages and all you said. Particularly happy to receive the feedback on the new season, because when the season kicks off, everybody is indeed jumping in during the first week and trying out everything, and then later, 2 or 3 weeks later, it fizzles away somewhat. There's no more hype. Everybody got to know what the season was about, and that's great really, because for the first time I'm taking part in this season literally from the word go, well, not really from the day of its release, but 2 days later I purchased the season. So I'm doing exactly the same like everyone else, and that is, I have to say, with a big thank you to Microsoft and the offers. As you know, the game is offered on Game Pass, and therefore as Bungie partnered yet again with the corporation, we're getting some significant discounts. I was able to get it on a 25% off really, and the price is really very good. And as you know, from last November, they're also offering, Bungie is also offering the separate purchases of the seasonal content, which was not the case before. Previously, we were buying everything in bulk, so that's great, and really great to hear from our regulars that they are indeed in awe of what's happening. And I think we had a couple of messages indicating that people are very interested in the story and they want to see a lot more of it. So that's exactly what Bungie wants to see, and I'll forward some of these messages to the developer because they're very curious about the overall responses to the new concept, which indeed had altered the course in November with the latest expansion, Beyond Light, and so far so good really. For whatever reason, I purchased the season pass, and then the game, due to a glitch, was bringing me back to the beginning of Beyond Light. So I'm replaying the entire Beyond Light campaign for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, and probably to do with the fact that we're extracting the code from the pack that's offering the whole game, and as I'm already on Game Pass and obviously in position to access all the content but the seasons, the game just brought me back in. As you know, it's great because obviously I'm reliving it and I really enjoyed Beyond Light. I think it's probably the best expansion of the sequels so far. Also introducing the massive new map called Europa that we have been already entertaining for, let me think, 2 and 5, 7 months, and looking forward to the autumnal release of the new DLC. So let's see what Tom said. Tom is in Scarborough. He said, I'm playing Red Dead Online. Well, thank you for that. And I think you probably listened to my podcast earlier in the week where I stressed the very important fact that the Red Dead Online joined Xbox Game Pass, and no longer do you have to buy it, although it's, I purchased it on a very, very low price. It was like £4.20, I think, and which is fantastic really considering the volume. And I think Tom probably listened to the podcast and then dived in, so just let me know whether that's correct or not, because I talked about it quite a bit earlier in the week, last week that is. Jenny from Manchester is playing The Outer Worlds, and delighted to hear this. I talked about it so much here on my channel, and it was really a true discovery for myself. I played other Obsidian titles, Grounded and Fallout New Vegas, just to name a few, and always liked the developer. I think The Outer Worlds is excelling. It's the magnificent, very, very big RPG with many, many different types of explorative inquiries you can launch in there in this massive big open world, and thoroughly enjoyable, plenty of funny dialogue, many planets, activities, NPCs, you name it. Think of Fallout merging with Mass Effect. That's the overall structure, and also have some elements of No Man's Sky if you were interested in the vast universe and the exploration of every single planet. So that's what I have. And originally the game was quite similar to No Man's Sky. There was no in-game tutorial, so you were not quite sure where to go first, but they've changed it, and the game's I'd say much improved compared to the day one version, and I loved it really. So great to hear that our friend is indeed playing it, and send us a message telling us a bit more about what your experience is, whether whether you like it as much as myself, or whether you are just experimenting with it. Also, we had messages indicating, I'm playing Returnal, says Jessica. Jessica's in Brighton. Returnal is a wonderful, wonderful new game on PlayStation 5, and we talked about it quite a bit on my Warzone streams, because a couple of our regulars were looking at demos and developer diaries, and I've been told, although I've not really researched in depth, presently I'm very tied up with my regular streams, and Returnal is one of the biggest titles to come out on PlayStation 5. It's also a PlayStation exclusive, so therefore anyone who is in possession of the new console could get in, not otherwise. And I heard that it does have the survival mode, which means if you are being killed, you've got to be going all the way back to the beginning, and I think through a concept called resurrection. So I'm not 100% sure how it works, and I think Jessica could probably ping us a message and tell us a bit more about her activities and all that she's completed so far. Absolutely mouth-watering graphics, and I think anyone who is in awe of space operas or perhaps survival horror games, you got two of these in one, and definitely looking very, very bright and rosy for all of us who are perhaps going to be accessing it at a later date. Hoping to see it on PS Now services as well, hoping that PlayStation will embrace the same concept that we've been given by Microsoft, in which we are getting their exclusives through the streaming services on the release date. What other games are people playing? Oh, we had about 4 or 5 messages. We had messages from Rupert and from John, and also, let me see, who else is there? Matthew. They're all playing Resident Evil Village, and again we talked about here again quite a bit, as it's been released very recently, one of the biggest titles of Capcom's and the most successful Resident Evil release so far. And Tom said it's really scary. I really found it to be really perturbing, and I'm playing it at night with my headset on, and I need to obviously make sure that my lights are not switched off. And Tom, you're right, because Jeff Rubinstein from Xbox on the latest podcast last week said exactly the same. He said he found it to be extremely scary, and he's playing it on top-notch setup with the most expensive headset, and he said he could hear every single bit there in the arena, and for a non-streamer he would be able to access the game on full volume, or whatever has been left in his settings. So it becomes really, really engrossing, really, really scary, and all happening within 24 hours. Let me think, what else is there? We had messages from Timothy, and from Jeremiah, and from Joshua, and from Stanley. All of them are in the US, and everyone is telling us we are playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Well, that's fantastic. I was vouching for this for some time. Sadly, it's not been released on any of the streaming engines yet, but it probably will come sooner or later to Xbox Game Pass, so I'll just be a bit patient. And I think the messages I received from our friends are indicating that they are absolutely and truly delighted with the content. And I think Jeremiah says, Mass Effect 1 looks out of this world. He never ever played or looked better on my Xbox. And that's fantastic. We're very, very happy to hear it, because I played Mass Effect 1 on Xbox 360 and on Xbox One. Didn't really perform too well, and recently streamed it here, which was I think early last year, and we also had it on Xbox One X, directly downloaded from it was from Game Pass, because the first installment was accessible through the Microsoft streaming engine. Later in the year, the other 2 titles also joined forces as they merged the EA Play services with Game Pass. but it didn't really perform too well. It was very choppy, and the usual problems that we did have as we played it on Xbox 360, perhaps somewhat improved a bit in terms of speed, but still the frames were dropping, and didn't have any crashes. It was just all to do with the frame rate drop. Really, that was the main problem. But as you could see, our friend says it never looked and sounded better, so that's wonderful. And the greatest amount of work on the trilogy for the remastered edition was indeed spent on the original title. They said it was very difficult because obviously they worked previously on the old gen engine. The game, I think, began with the prep work somewhere in 2003, 2004, released in 2007, and as you could imagine, there was a lot of work to be done. But I have to say, I read a review in, I can't remember, it was a Eurogamer or Games Radar, and they said we really didn't like the fact they've not reworked the the facial expressions and lip syncing. I mean, honestly, where are you from? I mean, like, what planet are you living on? It's just, you would need to be reworking the whole game. You would need to re-record every single character, and just think about how many characters there are in Mass Effect. It's completely insane. That sort of demand really makes me kind of eat my controller, because quite frankly it's unrealistic and it's devoid of any form of reality. What it did was similar to what you had with Halo. The entire iconography, inclusive of interiors, exteriors, the characters, the outfits, everything's been reworked, so it's massively enhanced, it's bright and illuminated, it looks really like the game was made today. Obviously you will see through problems with lip syncing and maybe facial expressions and a few bits and pieces that indeed it is an old game, but similar to what we've seen with Yakuza, it just raises the bar. The performance is massively enhanced, and you can really feel that the game is very much alive and kicking. So really great to hear this. I want to ask our friends to send me some messages of the overall in-game experience, because I'm quite certain your weekend was spent on Mass Effect. I mean, as a person who played it for probably more than 2,000 hours, I can tell you there are lots of activities in there, and they will always feel bright and contemporary. It was a novel concept at the time, and I think where really Mass Effect excels is in a combination of two different concepts through the narrative. You have one concept which is linear storytelling through the campaign. So if you do the campaign, you can follow everything straightforwardly, and then you have the non-linear narrative introduced through side missions, and there are very many of these dependent on how many characters you talk to. If you're not sure really what to do and what to unlock, there is a very good Games Radar guide on 3 or 4 different sections of unlockables. I've got it on my Twitter, so just head to my Twitter and dig it up, or go to my Discord. There is the same article there on the channel for Mass Effect, and you'll be able to get it. Because obviously, if you are doing it for the first time, you may be completely overwhelmed by the amount of content. But if you are, for instance, completing the works on one planet, or one part of the story, one chapter, you can be looking at what other side quests there are and what other people you need to discover in order to unlock. So that's great, really. Absolutely wonderful to hear from everyone. So, what did I do out of this weekend? Well, I played no other games but the usual suspects, and the majority of my time was spent on Destiny Season of the Splicer. I purchased the Season Pass on Thursday, I think, and I've gone down the route of playing it bit by bit. And incidentally, although we're getting a lot of extra content, I've been given a glitch where I need to be replaying Beyond Light from the beginning. So that's been a very good, very funny and highly energetic combination of those two together. Firstly, you go through the campaigns and story missions, and then you throw in all the additional tasks, and believe you me, Destiny, I can't think of any other, really. Maybe Black Desert Online and particularly Elder Scrolls Online. There are lots of things to do, but Elder Scrolls give you lots of tasks and quests, but it's not like Destiny, when you are getting bounties and certain quests, and then you have to grind with all the materials to get all the necessary ingredients in order to unlock or to complete. So a game that's also tailored for a multiplayer access and several participant gameplay, and you really want to be doing it like that. It is a lot more enjoyable, and it will help you to level up faster. You will learn from your friends and you will progress forward rapidly, because otherwise you are stranded there for maybe several thousand hours of gameplay. And we've heard from some of our dedicated veterans like Sakapupu that there were times where he couldn't find anyone to do certain tasks with, and therefore he was somewhat stranded. And unlike some other guys who, for instance, if you're looking for certain avenues in the Dreaming City or the new map, he will not be looking up the usual types of pointers on the internet walkthroughs or any other tips. You just do everything organically, which means grassroots level. You're exploring everything and trying to find it for yourself. I do exactly the same, but as I've gone on age-wise, I really kind of feel if there is no way for me to find the solution, I'll go for a walkthrough. It's just that I've played lots of different games, and you have got some titles that really want to make that a principle in order to extend the length of your gameplay, and I'm not really in favor of this. And like the games I played recently, the Call of the Sea, for instance, is a beautifully designed puzzler, but the puzzles are impossible to crack. And if you were to be doing them by yourself, maybe if you're a veteran of puzzlers, you will be able to do it. But there weren't really that many clues prior to some of the puzzles, and obviously resorted to the walkthroughs. Maybe you can obviously criticize me for this. Maybe I'll be shamed for that. But on the other hand, I like puzzlers, but I need to have clues. I need to find out where the clues are. And the puzzles in that game are tricky, and the game itself is not very lengthy, but the puzzles will take you a long while to crack. So we have entertained Season of the Splicer, and my activity in Beyond Light has been fairly pedestrian. I've gone up and up, although once encountering the big bosses I did have some issues, but don't forget I leveled up my weapons, and I'm probably at the beginning of this season a lot stronger compared to what was 6 months ago, and therefore some of the bosses could be eliminated. But still, you had to be fairly fast and tactical, and certainly the biggies in Beyond Light require 3-man effort. You will have some situations where you need to be jumping from one platform to another. You have 3 platforms, you get the drift. The other game I played obviously was Call of Duty Warzone. We had really very good sessions, and altogether thoroughly enjoyed our activities. We have regular squads that keep coming in, and I want to thank all of our participants that include Paphos, Spanner, Spurs, Joel, and Myla, as well as Timo, all the people who were joining us during this weekend. And we've had, let me think, we have several big victories. I think 2 victories, Friday and Saturday. That was the week before actually. We had 1 victory on Saturday. Yeah, that was the only one this weekend. Otherwise, yesterday we've come second several times, and the circle didn't really work in our favour. And we had some really absolutely terrific matches. Sadly, yet again, we had spotted lots of cheaters, and in the last match of yesterday, we were being hit by a team using wall hacks and aimbots, and all 3 of my teammates got eliminated in situations where that indeed was very unlikely. And you're like inside of a building with massive concrete walls, and they still shoot you from outside. It's absolutely a non-starter. And I got a bit tired, and my driving skills were absolutely dreadful, so I was really kind of concerned about missing out on my dinner. The stream was running slightly over time, and then we all ended with elimination. So it was, sometimes you have the victory match right at the end, and yesterday it was the other way around. But never mind, it's all part and parcel of Battle Royale and all that we have there. The biggest news today, let's just talk a bit about news, and I want to thank first of all everyone who participated, all of our contributors who also then become my associate content creators. I think the streams are very, very, very well received. Most of the times people watch them on playback through many platforms, diff platforms, and I have seen that we are getting an increase on the number of plays, so that's great. And I want to ask everyone who is watching it on playback, as you obviously are not participating live online, just send us a message and tell us what you think of our tips and tricks and strategies and everything else that we do. I think the Warzone stream has been very well received in terms of the audio content. People liked our ramblings, musings, discussions, jokes and remarks, and overall approach to Warzone, which generally is, when you watch other channels, fairly competitive and kind of stern and serious. We really approach it with a lot of fun and laughter. We obviously try to excel, we play to the best of our abilities, but still, it's all about entertainment, and it is not the real thing. People think being in Warzone is like being in a war. Well, I can tell you it is not like that. This is a game, and you always have to understand that a game is delivered on this like 2D screen, with a frame, and then once you switch everything off, you're back to the real life. Remember that. Very important. I've come across some younger gamers who thought that playing games like Fortnite and PUBG, Apex was the most important thing in life, and they treated it as if they were, in a World Cup final. But I think that's the wrong approach. That's certainly not what the best players do, because the entertainment and their the enjoyment is all about, first of all, excelling in the trade, in the game that they're very good at, and then secondly, being connected to their fans, followers, community members and contributors. So that's two things together. Solitary gaming is something that really should be sent to oblivion, belongs to the past and to the days of early PC gaming, where there was no internet or anything else. The modern games like this one, Destiny, Season of Splicer, for instance, or you can look at so many different ones: The Division, Warzone, PUBG, all the multiplayers and PvP games. They're all about us connecting with other people around the world and then communicating, sharing thoughts, tips and views, and having a lot of fun. So doing it by yourself is, and therefore I think single player games presently are suffering tremendously, albeit they have some fantastic titles out there. But if you look at the numbers, you will see that everyone's gravitated towards the games that already had become social networks in themselves. And I talked to Mila yesterday. Mila is Mikael from Sweden, who is our community member, and I said it's truly delightful to see that the evolution of social networking had gone this far, because nobody could expect that with the inventions of Discord and Twitter, we would have like Facebook and Twitter attached to one game and to one Twitch channel. So if you think about what we did with Destiny in a period of 2 years, and with Warzone within last year, is truly astonishing. There were so many different people from different parts of the globe who joined our forces and who are here every single day to to talk, to discuss, to ramble, to play the game, and generally have a lot of fun. So really, really astonishing, and I've got to say, probably more poignant than at any other stage in history, as we are suffering from the global pandemic. It's terrific to see that people can then use the time adequately. So it's not just about hammering the game, collecting scores, getting eliminated, getting back in straight away. It's about sharing, it's about communicating, interacting, finding out what's happening in your local community, supporting other people who need an extra bit of attention, people who are perhaps in the need, people who are experiencing some level of difficulty with homelessness, with illness, with disability, with financial problems, with the isolation that has taken place due to this dreadful pandemic. All of these issues are very, very important, and all of them can be talked about here live on air through Twitch and various broadcasting channels. So my community members were sending me tips and praise, and labeled me a COVID warrior, and I think we could all say that we are COVID warriors, trying to really spend our time usefully as we are stranded indoors. And a good example, today's a good example. I got up very early today and went out, had several chores to do, and had to go to the library and do a few bits and pieces. And it was a beautiful sunny day outside after probably 3 or 4 days of absolutely dreadful rain, like 4 days in a trot. And last night I was coming back from my dinner, heavens opened. Honestly, it was dreadful. It was like in Taiwan, torrential rains, monsoon rains, flooding everywhere, like on the roads, and I didn't realize, because I spent all of my afternoon indoors here with my community members, that it was as bad. It was just drizzling, but it actually went worse as I progressed towards the destination. So I couldn't get back the same way. I had to walk on the main road and got completely drenched. I had my umbrella, and what really annoyed me was I carried my dinner and it was delivered in a paper bag, and then that paper bag got too wet due to the rain and snapped, so my dinner went almost completely on the floor. Fortunately, the containers didn't break, so the dinner was saved, but I was so angry. It was like, one thing after another. But why am I telling you this now? Yeah, today, beautiful sunny day, and just went out, had a bit of sunshine, completed all the tasks that were to be done today, got back here, went live on air with my podcast, and it just felt like a day where everything worked, where the schedule was so well organized, and everything was as it should be. And I kind of really look forward to my friends and fans and community members coming in and talking to us gaming together, and talking about everything that indeed is in our local community. And it happens every day. I did say to Spurs and our friends that when I had this break, because obviously during Christmas and it's a different sort of story, but this break that I had after Easter for 3 weeks was lengthy, and I've played other games, but didn't really engage with anyone here through Twitch or multiplayer. I really miss my community. Honestly, I really miss my community. It was a bit like being cut off from your family or from the loved ones, and in a very brutal fashion. After the first week, I felt, oh, where's everyone? What is going on? But I had to have that period to recharge my batteries. It's very important for me, because as a self-employed person and a person who literally always worked for himself the whole life, I wouldn't say I burn out, but I get tired, and broadcasting and doing live online content with various people from worldwide can be very tiring. For instance, yesterday I got very tired towards the end. I don't understand why. I was towards the last match or last two matches that we did have of Warzone, I was just completely wrecked, and it's just like a mental tiredness, be it to do with talking or interacting or just the overall. Maybe it's the the atmosphere out there with all of that rain and all the unpleasantries during the last couple of days. But it's important to have breaks. It's important to run your programs here on schedule, and it's important to allow breaks in between if you are doing PvP. So what I've done is I've sort of scattered different types of activities within 8 hours, so we're not having like a one lengthy broadcast. I have breaks in between, and I think it works well. I'm very pleased with the results, and to be fair, the suggestions did come from our community. It was our friends from the US who were suggesting, well, I think it's better if you are split your daily routine into separate sections. First of all, if we want to hear something about Destiny that is related to the season just released, we'll go for your podcast, right? So you have to label it when you put it on YouTube. Just put what you are talking about, what you're focusing on, the main topics, the main subjects, like what you have with any major podcast releases. And then if we are stepping into Destiny Warzone, we don't have to have lengthy introductions. We can have the community coming in, we catch up with our news, and it's highly interactive from the word go, and it gets busy game-wise. I thought, well, great. I really kept the old concept because I needed a break in between different things, different activities. But this has helped, and I can end one broadcast, let's say this one, and then I have a 10-15 minute break, and then I crack on with more, which is then delivered within that second slot, and then we go for the third slot. And I think it really works well. More than 3 slots a day, I think that's too many. And even 3 slots feels quite a bit, because I don't really like hopping from one game to another. But on the other hand, I feel that I need to be providing content for our 2 big communities. And earlier in this year, I tried to provide you with a variety of streams with lots of DRBMiller introducing and a few other games. Actually, last summer we had the same thing, and it was very enjoyable for myself, but not that great for my community members. And happy message to say, well, what are you doing? We want to have a lot more Destiny Zone. So that's exactly why I've come back with the concept today, and returned back to Warzone in October, and also played Destiny quite a bit in the meantime. Although Destiny didn't feature as much on the channel due to the absence of substantial rewards and the meaningful content in the last couple of seasons. Due to the pandemic, they worked from home and they were just throwing in Iron Banner and Guardian games. We've done all of that before, and no need to be. I mean, you can have like one session of it, but that's about it. I'm going to do it every day, and I think this new season is providing us with something quite new and definitely very interesting, and offering us some novelties, some pointers and markers towards what is to follow in autumn, and I'm very excited about it. I want to see Destiny going down the route of Mass Effect, so a lot more story-driven content, maybe not really with the optional dialogue where you are changing the course of action, but we want to have a body of narrative. We want to have a story that's easily understood by everyone, and that's been a serious problem for Destiny from the beginning, because they wanted people to be combining the energy of PvP with the story that's kind of holding all the pieces together. But I think having just one character, one NPC, Ghost, telling you about all the facts and figures and all the characters and all the history of the world is well, it's tricky. I didn't find that to be easily accessible to me, and there were too many characters being crammed in within a few sentences, or some activities like well, when they come up in strikes, and I couldn't really make a head or tail of it. So I've done linear storytelling sessions here on my channel with Destiny, and I thought, well, together with Sekapupu and Furry Spider and a few of our other friends, I thought, well, we're going to have a clearer picture on what's actually happening and what the best way forward in soaking up the story it will be. But it didn't make it really a lot clearer. I'm doing it for the second time, third time, I think, 3 times done so far, and I think the story is beginning to gel better with the most recent concept that was introduced, well, through Shadowplay first, and then Shadowkeep, I beg your pardon, I've gone down the Joy Division route. Shadowkeep first, and then a year later with Beyond Light, and the experiment in which you are changing the structure of the game and progressing down the narrative route rather than having just the story that's holding the PvP together is very difficult, and it will take them quite a while to rework the whole concept. And presently Destiny does feel like a game in progress. It's neither here nor there, with the planet disappearing, the original Destiny 2 content not being accessible. 75% of these missions have gone temporarily, and we are doing lots of other things, and we just need to wait and see. I think it's brave. I really applaud Bungie for that. We are all a bit frustrated with the recent development, but that's just temporary. We know that Bungie are working with our community in order to provide the best possible quality content, and they want Destiny to stay here forever. So it's not a game that will have a short life, a shelf life of about 2 or 3 years. We're talking about a game that they want to be here for 100 years, a bit like Destiny Universe, and that's not easy. And providing constantly that new content will be tricky, but I think they will have to initiate many more story missions which will be delivered within maybe weekly or monthly format, and throwing in these 6-man pinnacle activity weekly activities is definitely the first step in the right direction. So that's all about our community and all we've heard from our members. I'll just have a look at the news and all that's come in. But like I said, tell you, there was one big piece of news that I was extremely excited about today, and let me just find it for you. That is about Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars, right? And let me just see where it is. Bear with me. We've heard something quite extraordinary, and I want to see what that is. There we are. GameSpot reported this, and apparently they're just importing the news from Jason Schreier. Was it Schreier or Shira? Schreier, I think he is. Schreier. Yeah, that's right. And you will know that he is an investigative journalist who frequently comes up with stories which are unpicking certain activities attached to developers and publishers as well. And basically he had received information indicating that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic are being presently remade completely from scratch. Anyone who has been with BioWare from the beginning, you will recall that this is one of the most successful titles they released, one of the most popular, and certainly I would say, if not the best, one of the very best in the Star Wars series. And very similar to Mass Effect, it has that very story-driven content with lots of dialogue and plenty of characters. In fact, they worked on it and then they imported the system and developed it even more for Mass Effect, which in fact was not part of any other series or franchise, just an original new title. So there's that Aspyr, the studio behind ports of games like Star Wars Episode 1 Racer and Jedi Outcast, Play the One, I just mentioned, is said to be developing a full remake of the classic RPG. That's fantastic news. I love the game, and seeing it in the next-gen graphics is going to be absolutely astonishing. Obviously the content will be exactly the same, so really cool stuff. And they said it is reportedly in development at Aspyr, and an updated version of the classic Star Wars game has been rumored for some time, but recent reporting sheds more light on the studio behind it. Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier named the developer in an appearance on the MinMax podcast. In fact, he was working for Kotaku as well. After opening the show by talking about persistent KOTOR, that is the abbreviation for Knights of the Old Republic, rumors and how a remake isn't in development at EA, the host circled back to the topic at the very end, and Schreier gave the studio name. This is public at this point. I've basically confirmed that Aspyr, which is the company that ported a bunch of KOTOR games, is working on the remake. And the report was further corroborated by Eurogamer, which reported hearing of Aspyr's involvement as well. So they worked on ports for the games like Star Wars Episode 1 Racer and Jedi Outcast, very good games as well. And previously they were suggesting that remake would not be developed by Electronic Arts internal studios, and that remake would incorporate elements from both of the old KOTOR games. That's great news. Let's see what other news we did receive today. I'm just looking at all I posted already on Twitter. There's been quite a few things coming in on the weekend, and I'll be able to tell you about a few of these. And the most important thing is that Call of Duty developer Raven is banning further cheaters, and we have been complaining quite a bit here in my community about it. In fact, yesterday we've come across quite a number, and one of the matches was more than visible with wall hackers and aimbots. So we are hearing that they are continuing to ban lots of players, and they're banning them in bulk. So many responders, however, insist that cheating accounts have been hacked, which I believe is complete nonsense. Almost certainly, if they are playing on PC, they would have known straight away that their account was gone. They would have reported it and blocked it. I don't really buy any of it. People are wanting to be excelling in a way which is neither legit nor acceptable, and if you don't want to be spending time mastering tactics and strategies and working together with your teams, simply leave the game. Do not buy this aimbots and wall hacks, because we hate you. We will never support you. It's a bit like people robbing banks. You know, we don't like banks, but banks are a necessity. We can't live without them. And you know, encouraging somebody to be robbing banks means you'll be losing your own money. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So we absolutely do not want to engage with that criminal activity. If you are spotting cheats, and there are some specific indications that will tell you when you watch somebody's performance online whether they're cheating or not, you must report them, and you must report them to the developer immediately. And the best way to do it is ask your community to watch the same and report it all at the same time. So the developer or the publisher will get 20 or 30 reports of cheating attached to one person within a few seconds, and then there will be a person coming to these reports, having a good look, and then taking action. So they said, Raven, that is, more than 500,000 cheaters have been banned from the Battle Royale servers. In a recent tweet from the studio's official social media channel, Raven said that after banning over 30,000 malicious accounts on May the 13th, that brings the total number of bans to over 500,000. Many of the responses to the tweets are complaining about the bans, most of which insist they've done nothing wrong and were only banned because of unscrupulous player and hijacked their accounts. don't believe any of it. Lying. Anyone who is cheating is lying from the beginning. No doubt, in an effort to refrain from publicizing cheating methods or means, the developer stopped short of revealing what kind of behavior would result in a ban, and it didn't clarify what proportion of that 500,000, half a million, could be attributed to the different platforms the free-to-play game is available upon to play. Well, I can tell you, I can reveal quite simply, everyone who's cheating is on PC. It's simple as that. PC can download software that is accessible through PC systems, and it will enable that degree of hacking. And they said that also Warzone Rambo skin is officially on the way. We've seen some very interesting screenshots of what's his name, John McTiernan, right, from Die Hard, and John Rambo from First Blood, played originally by Sylvester Stallone, and these are going to be skins, so we'll have these characters as operators, I believe, and that's great, because, you know, Spurs, who joined our community, indeed met my community online exclusively because of his Leatherface outfit. I spotted him straight away as we were in the lobby, and I loved it. I thought it was just quite unusual, and we hit it off straight away. So don't think that these outfits and skins are there entirely for the profit making or for you to be spending your dollar. They're not. They're very useful when it comes to community activity, interaction, and making new friends. I always look out for interesting outfits. They always catch my eye. And because the vast majority of Warzone streamers and players are men, I'm always delighted to see that sometimes there are female outfits played by female streamers, and that's great. You know, we want to see a lot more of it. So I think probably I'll go for some of these skins once they come out, or maybe I'll just find myself the character that I really like, and if they're importing the guys from Rambo and Die Hard, it's likely we'll get some other operators in there as well. So if there was somebody from Matrix, for instance, or from I'd have to think of some other games really. Maybe Bourne Identity, Jason Bourne. Well, I think I would definitely buy the skin straight away on today. This on Friday, Activision shared a teaser image for Call of Duty Presents 80s action heroes, including a teaser image that features John Rambo, a trio of operators, and explosion at the top of a building that looks very much like Nakatomi Plaza from the original Die Hard. The special event will go live in Warzone, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and Call of Duty Mobile on May the 20th. So that is a couple of days away, 3 days away. So what is it? Let me see. Today we are looking at, what's the 17th? 18th, 19th, 20th is on Thursday. Okay, I need to obviously keep an eye on this. While Activision is not showing any in-game images of the event yet, a pair of off-screen images shared on Twitter by user Call of Duty Warfare Forum show Rambo and McClane skins wielding rifles in 2 side-by-side shots. I've seen them. If you're interested, you can just go to my Twitter, have a look. I've posted all of these, I think, the last few days, the weekend. We hear that there are some people who are playing Rocket League and breaking Rule 1. So what's the Rule 1? Curious about that. I'd rather get kicked from a match than disrespect the sport, says Tyler Wilde of PC Gamer. And was Thomas Hurtle's between the legs goal in a blowout against the Rangers unnecessary? Probably unsportsmanlike. Some would say yes, but it hardly compares to breaking Rule 1 in Rocket League, which would be like Hurtle's first squared up for a fight and threw down his gloves before turning around and taking a shot. Unheard of, unallowable, and yet when Rocket League's snow day mode went competitive, I encountered more than one of these heretics. Shameful. Not really played Rocket League, so I'm not the person to provide you with any views on it, but obviously our friends at PC Gamer are rather annoyed. Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker expansion dated for November 23rd launch. Sounds good, quite curious and quite excited. And we have a very good guide on Games Radar on how to get basically Wrath of the Druids in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So how to get to Ireland and start the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Wrath of the Druids expansion is clearly explained. So you have all the pointers, markers and tips in there Figuring out how to get to an expansion in a video game is often a complex situation. Flashbacks, all the Fallout expansions come to mind, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla actually makes it very easy. Wrath of the Druids takes you to islands across the Irish Sea, but to get there you need to read this guide on how to start Wrath of the Druids. So if you're interested, just crack on with the guide. It is on my Twitter. We'll go back to what we said yesterday. Just bear with me. I want to pick it up. I told you a lot about Cosmic Top Secrets and Dark Alliance, and we had also Chernobylite. Chernobylite is a game similar to Stalker. I'm very, very curious about it. I want to see what the game is going to be like, and if you have a chance, definitely hit it up with some trailers and developer diaries coming out I think later in the year. Talked about Road Company. Road Company is approaching this new season. Season 2 already kicked off. We're getting some new apparatus in there. We have some more news, really, which are interesting. Learn the history and lore behind Desert Gate of Oblivion with new trailer. So let us have a look. We have in the Elder Scrolls Online Blackwood. That will be arriving June the 8th on various platforms. There'll be an opportunity to discover a story that began with the Longhouse Empress and Maroon's Dagon, I should say, as part of the year-long Gates of Oblivion saga. So for all of you who are playing Oblivion and playing Elder Scrolls Online, you will know that they introduced these expansions which are story-driven and they're fairly lengthy. So you get lots of different sub-quests and chapters as you go along in the course of 1 year, and definitely worth a shot. So we can obviously look forward to that June the 8th. This is a massive new storyline which kicked off in March with the Flames of Ambitions DLC. It's been going on for now a couple of months and continues with the upcoming Blackwood chapter and throughout the entirety of 2021. So you can simply jump in at any time, still experience an incredible tale of ambition and destruction, and each unique release will tell you its own unique tale. It's even better with the Blackwood prologue available now. For everybody who owns the Elder Scrolls Online, you can take your first steps into the new chapter's main storyline before it arrives this June. I think I need to try it. I mean, I played Elder Scrolls Online somewhat, right from, well, the initial chapters, and not really look deeper into it, I have to admit, because I told you before, I was considering whether to run Elder Scrolls here as the main game on the channel or Destiny, and I've gone down the route of Destiny. Because Destiny picked up straight away, Elder Scrolls was not really bringing in any community members, and therefore I left it behind. But I am a veteran of Oblivion, Morrowind, and Skyrim, and I think the Elder Scrolls Online definitely is excelling compared to some of the other outlets, and has a lot of new content. And as you could see, I guess similar to what we see now in Destiny, they are really pursuing the extra content through story-driven missions, which are delivered as DLCs within the concept of the game being fully online. So, definitely very interesting, and plenty of interesting characters to be met. So we have Imperial ambitions, Daedric schemes, and a desperate band of heroes standing in the face of destruction itself. The Gates of Oblivion year-long saga is going to be an adventure unlike anything you've seen before. In addition to continuing this massive story, Blackwood also introduces a new zone to explore, the new companion system, the new Oblivion portals, world events, and a lot more. So you need to be a bit patient. It's all going to come your way on the, 8th of June of 2021. Alrighty, let's see what else we've got there. Behind the scenes of Zombie Army 4's latest season of horror. So this game has been recommended to me by several big gamers, and they talked about it quite a bit on Xbox Game Pass, an Xbox podcast. I'm not sure. Well, I've not played it, so we need to see whether it's just like any other Zombie Fest. It does have an extra flavor of adrenaline, from what I gathered. So if you like zombie slaying, Zombie Army 4 Dead War is available on Xbox Game Pass right now, free of charge if you are a subscriber. We're also working hard on Season Pass 3, and the first round of content has gone live. So the developer here, Ben Fisher, studio design lead from Army 4 Dead War is telling us a bit more about it. I'd like to give you a little behind the scenes on everything we announced so far. So each season of Zombie Army 4 features a mix of free and paid content, free to everyone with a base game. We finally finished Nightmare Mode, which we've been working on since before the core game launched. This difficulty setting strips out the story and turns the game into a sequence of very difficult, insanely hard combat puzzles for 1 to 2 players. So due to NGOs, we discovered that this wasn't as straightforward as upping the enemy count. Groups of elite enemies did not always make the things harder if you could grab the heavy weapons and mow everybody else down. Our level designers have had to work very hard to get as mischievous as possible. So everybody will have access to the new Horde map, Frozen in Fear, set in the Resistance base, found in Season 2's Alpine Blitz, which also features in the tie novel Fortress of the Dead. Well, Left 4 Dead, remember? When we built the base, we discovered that while the level flow worked well for the story, it didn't use the whole base. As such, we had the idea of setting a Horde map in the aftermath of a zombie zeppelin attack and letting players escape the ruins through a new path. With a battle-damaged base and fleshed out surrounding areas, the play experiences are very different. So when you pick up your Season 3 pass, you'll get access to the main content of the season, a new story campaign, and then in Season 3 we decided to open up the zombie killing experience in a wide open sandbox maps to reflect the game's origin as a horror-themed alternate timeline to Sniper Elite. In Sniper Elite you can also switch it on and off. When you are firing your bullets at the enemy, you have this mode where they become a bit like zombies. You can see everything which is on the inside of the enemy once they get hit, and I really don't like that. It's not my cup of tea, and I always switch it off. I want it like a straightforward military simulation type of game, but they're also toying with the idea in here in addition to all else. So the new mission, Terminal Era, is a huge open base containing an occult Nazi supercomputer. The base itself is a kind of Easter egg for Sniper Elite 4 fans, but the play experience is very, very different. So the list goes on and on with very many things that they're offering, but that altogether sounds very appetizing if you are a fan of FPS, or indeed if you want to be cracking on with elimination of zombies. That is definitely going to be very much of interest. Zeke and Julia return in their 16-bit glory in Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol. Well, the cult classic Zombies Ate My Neighbors and its sequel make the long-awaited return in Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol, so all of them are easily accessible today. Heavy Metal Machines new Metal Pass season is here with Sugoi Machines. So Hoplon Studio is indeed offering the access. Dungeon Defenders 2 Spring Cleaning Update brings big changes to Etheria. I'm curious about that. Not played it recently, but they recently rebooted work on our free-to-play game Dungeon Defenders 2, so we're committed to giving it a quality of life boost with regular updates and additions based on feedback from our community. While Dungeon Defenders Awakened continues to be the studio's primary focus, we felt the franchise's popular sequel could benefit from some much-deserved attention. To kick off DD2's new era, we released the Spring Cleaning Update in April, which was packed full of all sorts of requested fixes, important quality of life additions and balance changes. We'll talk more about it in a bit. First we want to spread the news on an exciting game update that's just released. So you can run at 60 FPS on obviously Xbox Series X and S. So you can customize heroes, build towers, engage in combat, so many other actions at the 60 FPS rate, so that's terrific. Thanks to Microsoft backwards compatibility, the FPS boost feature will bring smoother and more immersive experiences to Etheria, allowing defenders to focus more on the battle at hand. Following a recent update from Xbox, another awesome change to DD2 was to the online multiplayer system. Now all defenders can team up to defend Etheria together online, all of them for free. Wonderful! An Xbox Live Gold subscription is no longer needed to join online multiplayer sessions. Well, quite frankly, you really have got that on online Xbox Gold subscription, because how on earth are you going to be playing Destiny and everything else without it? So, it's just a no-brainer. But if you want my opinion, you shouldn't be buying it separately. You should just buy the Ultimate subscription. For £10.99 you get everything. You get access to Xbox Live Gold, which is basically the internet access to multiplayers. You get a full library of titles on Game Pass, and most importantly, you can download all of them to your PC. So it's three things together for $10.99. So never ever did Microsoft offer anything better than that. Last but not least, we recently brought what we are calling the Spring Cleaning Update to DD2 at the beginning of April. This update includes new daily login rewards from our dear old peppers featured in the picture below. There's a picture in there embedded here within the article. New shards, a new pet, new bundles, and some much needed meta changes. So that sounds very good. Very excited about lots of freebies, and I think the industry is progressing down this route. We've seen this huge success of Apex and Warzone in the last couple of years, and we've heard that the Division next installment, called the Division Heartland, is going to be identical to Warzone. The same concept, massive big map, a multiplayer battle royale, free of charge with cosmetics. Very excited about it. Really look forward to it, and I wonder whether Rainbow Six Siege will go down that route as well. We heard all about Destiny 2, so I'm not saying anything more about it. Xbox Game Pass helps European gamers stay connected, so I'm quite curious about this. At Xbox, we conducted some new research with a third party which highlights the valuable role that Xbox Game Pass plays in helping players in Europe stay connected. The study itself is based on a sample of 14,000 gamers across Europe and provides a deeper look at how gamers view and use subscription services, in particular Xbox Game Pass, for their own entertainment. More specifically, it highlights that Xbox Game Pass members are more likely to connect with friends and family through gaming on a regular basis compared to non-members. Based on the responses in the survey, around half, 53% of gamers in Europe, play multiplayer games online at least once a week. Meanwhile, we've seen from our own data that having a shared library of games across devices is particularly special for our members, and when we are looking at this in the context of the research, this figure increases for Xbox Game Pass members exponentially. Xbox Game Pass members, according to this research, are more social and engaged with different types of gaming overall, and are significantly more likely to play multiplayer games online, 17%, as well as playing games online with both family, 19% more likely, and friends, 18% more likely. We believe that gaming has a unique power to bring people together, and it's incredible to see how Xbox Game Pass plays a valuable role for so many people across Europe who use gaming as a way to connect with friends and family on a regular basis. We built Xbox Game Pass from the ground up, based on feedback from members and the community, and the research builds on what we're hearing from them directly. They told us they want a curated collection of great games, more options for how they play, and value is huge. Based on the recent research, we saw that some of the main reasons European gamers sign up to a new service like Xbox Game Pass is access to lots of different content, almost 60%, ease of setup, 55%, and immediate access to new content as it releases, 55%. I'd say probably higher than that. I think this is the survey and the research they completed, but from my point of view, I think there's a lot more that we could consider. The vast majority of people who subscribe to Game Pass come in for those two reasons. One, which is accessing all the titles on a fixed price. That's the biggest reason. So 400 titles on the price of $10.99 a month. Can't get better than that. And the second one is any exclusives are being released through the streaming services on the first day, and therefore you can also access them. So that's two reasons. I mean, Outriders, for instance, released, or Gears 5 released through a Game Pass. You don't have to purchase the game, and most importantly, they're being released there through the Ultimate Editions that otherwise would cost you $90. So it's a no-brainer. With Xbox Game Pass, members can access over 100 games, so you can download and get playing straight away. Ease of access is something we are hearing a lot about, and that's why we are focusing on offering Xbox Game Pass on the devices you want to play on, whether it's console, PC, or Android, via cloud gaming beta. Lastly, there is always something new to play as we premiere Xbox Game Studio titles with Xbox Game Pass on day one of their release. What's more, the library is constantly being updated, with new games added all the time, including AAA blockbusters, additions of Bethesda Softworks, and incredible ID at Xbox games. The research has been fascinating for me. I need to tell you that it's been written by Ryan Cameron, he's Xbox Gaming Director. And he says it's been very fascinating to see how gamers in Europe use and view subscription services, and personally it inspires me to see how Xbox Game Pass plays a valuable role for so many people across Europe who use gaming to connect with family and friends. I can't wait for more people to experience Xbox Game Pass for themselves and to see how gamers continue to use these services in the future to connect. Right, it's an interesting article, but there is one big downside in there, and I can tell our friends at Xbox that in Europe there are lots of countries that are not able to access all of your services, and that is something you need to change. Because I talk to people from Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, Croatia, Slovenia, Greece and Bulgaria, and they can't access some of the services. So basically you need to enable the services for them to access, and therefore you have an exponential rise of customers and gamers who are also definitely going to be absolutely in awe of the cross-platform access, xCloud in particular. It's very, very important. I think the study was done with people from the countries where all the services are instantly accessible, and these would comprise France, UK, Germany, and some of the other countries in North Europe, Denmark, Sweden, and I think it's very important to consider that although these services are very expensive, they would need to be making them accessible to all of the countries, and therefore there will be a greater number of participants. I was actually attending Infogamer convention in Croatia a couple of years ago, one of the biggest European events as far as video gaming is concerned, and the vast majority of people, and they were not just from the country, they were from other countries, Central and Eastern Europe, they Western Europe as well, of course, they were all using PlayStation as their kind of favored console, and they said the reason they didn't really want to use Xbox is they can't access all the services. Well, that's the answer to it. Alright, so I think that's probably all we have for you today here on my podcast. These were the news, and we had plenty of our community content in here as well. So thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting the channel. Hope you enjoyed some of the novelties that indeed trickled to our shores, and I think I'm personally very excited to see that our community members are playing the new releases that indeed we talked about here live on air, in addition to the usual that people are excited about Mass Effect Legendary. We had quite a number of messages popping in saying that the game is absolutely astonishing, and some people are playing for the first time in fact, and very, very glad to see that. And now we are going to be progressing to what we like to do the best, and that's online gaming. We'll do Destiny Season of the Splicer within the next 5 minutes, and after that we'll carry on with Warzone sessions. Hopefully our usual suspects are going to be fully on board yet again, as always. So thank you for watching, thank you for supporting my channel. I shall see you all a bit later.